Oh, okay. Well, feels good to be back on another episode of Super Pod Shots. Give me 1 second to check something out. All right, there we go. Okay, so I'm live. Cool. Uh, okay, it's been a crazy week again. Um, it's funny because a lot of things have happened, and I've been wanting to discuss some of these things, but I try to wait till the podcast come out before I start going crazy on Twitter. Um, Today we're going to talk about a lot of things, man. I want to talk about the Tripwire CEO. There's a big thing going around, quality over quantity. I want to talk about how great quick delivery has been, obviously, this generation. Um, Big rumors from Xbox and PlayStation. So I'm going to discuss that as well. And I want to talk about some of the best games on Game Pass because I think Game Pass gets a lot of slack, um, especially from people who don't either have an Xbox or really know what's happening with Game Pass. So I want to try to put some positive feedback out there to people who may be interested in Game Pass but just haven't been able to uh play it yet or dive into it. They don't know what to play or what's on there. So all right. With that being said, man, I'm ready. I am ready to rock and roll. Let's go. Let's start the show. Here we go. All right. Welcome to Super Pod Shots. I'm your host, KORX. Oh, KORX. I'm not KORX. OX3 Kal-El, and it feels good to be back once again. Listen, man, there's so much that's been happening over the last couple of weeks. And we're getting real close to getting our hands on Halo. We're getting close to getting our hands on Forza. So I'm very excited about that. I know some people played 12 minutes that came out. Some people say it was convoluted. Some people feel like it was a good game. I don't know. I tried to get into it. Excuse me. I tried to get into it, but it was something that I don't know. It has my interest, but there's something about the game that sort of pushes me away. I don't know exactly what it is, but I'm going to try to continue to play it until you know I'm able to accomplish what I want to accomplish in the game and get a good feedback on the game. All right, so first of all, I want to talk about the Tripwire CEO steps down, and it's crazy because as he steps down, a lot of people were upset because of his um, comments on the abortion law in Texas. Now, I know this really isn't video game related. I don't like to talk about politics or anything like that. But for the most part, I just feel like in today's society, it kind of sucks when you want to give your opinion on certain things, especially if you are like a conservative. Um, it's very difficult because a good majority of the gaming landscape is liberal. And this law by itself, in my opinion, is a terrible law. Not to say that there aren't things in there that uh, maybe could work, but I just think that allowing, uh, not giving women the option to do what they want to do, even in cases of rape of incest, is just insane. And anybody who agrees with that is just nuts. The guy agreed with that. A lot of people didn't like what he said, and because of that, obviously, he got the backlash for that and had to step down. Some people feel like his opinion shouldn't reflect on his company, but the problem is that when you're the head of something, anything you say is going to reflect poorly on your company because you're pretty much the spokesperson for that company. If you're the head of that company, you are basically the spokesperson for that company. So it's going to look like and feel like, you know, you're representing that company. And that's not good. It's not a good look at all. So, I understand that he had to step down. He did the right thing, I think. I would suggest that if you are trying to grow something or if you are trying to reach new people, I think the best thing to do is probably keep your politics to yourself mostly, or try to keep any personal thoughts you have that people may not agree with to yourself if you're trying to grow a brand or you're trying to keep your job. Unless you're like doing something around a group of people who are of like mind, then I would probably say, yeah, keep it to yourself, because people losing jobs, cancel culture is crazy. A lot of people are just quick to just cancel you or over any little thing. And it's hard for us in today's society to even communicate with one another, let alone try to understand each other on major differences of opinion. So I don't want to stick too long on that topic. I just wanted to give my thoughts on it, and that I think he did the right thing. And obviously, he has the freedom of speech to say what he wants and how he feels, but there's always repercussions. There's always repercussions in the things that you say and do. And I think people need to continue to be aware of that. Anyway, moving on. So listen, man, it's been funny because it's like this whole Forza, this whole Horizon New World game or whatever it's called, the whole upgrade fiasco has really made me recognize a lot of things about certain people. And you got these PlayStation guys out there championing this $10 upgrade. Now, I'm not saying it's a big deal. Listen, the $10 upgrade is not a big deal. It really isn't. Xbox has decided that they're going to upgrade their games for their fans from Xbox One to Xbox Series X and S for free. You get all the bells and whistles with that, whether it's frames per second, resolution upgrades, texture upgrades. That's great. On the flip side, PlayStation wants you to pay a $10 upgrade fee. And that's fine as well. It's only $10. I mean, you bought a console for $500. What's $10, right? It's not a big deal. My issue is the people who agree thinking that paying the extra $10 is going to help the developers, which, first of all, it doesn't. I don't know why people think that it's going to help the developers. The reality of it is that the developers get paid by the publisher, and all you're doing is giving the publisher more money. The other thing is this whole notion that paying more gives quality over quantity, as if Xbox games don't have both quality and quantity. I don't understand this logic of now the higher something is, the better it is. That doesn't make sense to me. You could pay a lot of money for something and it could be trash. You know what I'm saying? It could be bad. It doesn't mean that it's going to be good. How many AAA games have we paid for that weren't great? A lot of people spent $60 on Cyberpunk, and Cyberpunk turned out to be mediocre. A lot of people paid for Mass Effect Andromeda, and it never lived up to the potential of what the original Mass Effect was. Though Andromeda was a good game. I do think Andromeda was a good game. I just think it didn't live up to the original series. But even then, where's the quality in that? You know, paying $70, $80 doesn't mean you're paying for quality. You know what I'm saying? And to make it seem like, oh, everything on PlayStation is quality and everything on Xbox is quantity, whether it's Game Pass or whatever games that they're coming out with, to me, it's just is like idiotic in a way. You know, there's a lot of really good quality games on Xbox, and it has been for a very long time. I don't know why people don't take the time to look. I read a column recently that said Microsoft doesn't have games as big as The Last of Us 2. Or what was the other game I think it was? Was it Uncharted? Or no, Horizon. They don't have games as big. Since when? I'm sorry, like since when? If Horizon is your flagship, and The Last of Us is your flagship, and Halo is a flagship, and Gears is a flagship, even if you want to count Forza, as Gran Turismo has sort of faded over the years, not to say that Gran Turismo is a bad game. I'm sure it's a good game. I'm sure it's a great, great series. But let's keep it 100. It has not lived up to what it used to be in the past in comparison to the Forza franchises, which have been, you know, rated as some of the top racing games in the entire industry, period. So when you look at it from that perspective, I'm trying to figure out how was those games not as big as The Last of Us and Horizon. I just find that just very weird and condescending in a way. I think that for the most part, what most people don't recognize is that because of last generation, Microsoft had such a bad generation midway through the generation, and obviously the start of the generation with the console itself, that a lot of people just don't recognize the efforts that was put out for Xbox. And I think Xbox did a really good job early last year. Let's not talk about the end of last year, but early last year, but they kind of try to come out with some really good IPs, and they just kind of went in a direction that didn't truly work for them. Now, I don't know if it was Phil's plan to do that, or if it was Don Mattrick's plan to do that. I really want to say it's Don, because Don was the head at the time, and he made certain decisions. They relied so heavily on third party and getting third party to build these games for them, that when you look at now in this generation, when they could have had part twos or sequels to these games, we're not getting them because we relied on those third party games, on those third party studios. You know, a game like Quantum Break, which had potential, we're not getting a part two because they relied on Remedy to make the first game. So we're not going to see a part two until they either agree with Remedy to make a second game, or they build a studio to make a part two, or they give the game to a studio to make a part two. You know, same thing with Ori and Will of the Wisp. I think Ori 2 was the last one, honestly, but that's a good franchise. I think they should continue that franchise. You know what I'm saying? Or at least maybe move to a different character within the franchise. I think that would have been pretty cool too. But they don't own Moon Studios. They don't own Moon. They don't own Remedy. They didn't own the guys who did Recore. You know, these are decisions that put yourself in a situation where you either have to build or hand off. And the thing is like, I'm not a fan of handing off IPs to new studios or other studios when they could be making their own new IP. So if you can't get the original studio to build the game, then maybe you should just open up a new studio, or maybe open up a studio that works on games like those three, you know, in continuation. Like they rotate those games between those three franchises or whatever. But Microsoft did a solid job, in my opinion. I thought Halo 5 was excellent quality-wise. The environments, the soundtrack, the gameplay, the gunplay, great game. It's just a lot of people didn't like the story. You know what I'm saying? I had no issue with the story. I get that people expected one thing and got something else, but I didn't have a problem with the story. You know, the multiplayer I heard was great. I played that a little bit, but couldn't really get into it too much. But overall, Halo 5 was a pretty good game, and it rated nicely. Gears rated nicely. Forza always rates nicely. You know, Sunset Overdrive, even though they don't own the IP, they took a chance there. They worked with Insomniac. They got a great game out of that. And that's another game that initially was on the Xbox One, and we won't see a sequel, obviously, because Sony purchased Insomniac, and now they're probably going to make Sunset Overdrive 2 for PlayStation, which is a lost and missed opportunity. But I respect Microsoft allowing Insomniac to keep their IP. So obviously, you got the middle generation hits. Microsoft decides to do a whole reboot that generation, and we don't really get a lot of first-party content coming out there, but a lot of the same stuff, you know, Gears, Forza, or whatever, some indie games, stuff like that. But because of that, we have this generation, which is going to be probably Microsoft's best generation. You know, they've been able to lay the foundation from last gen. They're able to go ahead and start building IPs with all the new studios and acquisitions that they have. And now we can look forward to having a great a great series of games coming out this generation over the next decade. So it should be really good. But that goes to show you that Microsoft understands that investing in quality is important. I think Obsidian is a great studio. You look at what Psychonauts did as Double Fine was able to put out a game that was highly rated. A lot of people underestimated the game because of the way it looked, and boom, right in your faces, egg on your face. The game turns out to be one of the highest rated games of generation, and is also getting nodded for possibly a Game of the Year nominee. And that'd be great if Double Fine was able to get that. I think that people get upset, or the fanboys are upset that Psychonauts rated so well or is doing so well, because they know the studio that made it is owned by Microsoft. And if you have a studio that can produce a game that well, whatever that next game is going to be should be as good or better. And that's the scary part for fanboys who don't like Xbox. Microsoft went out, picked up a studio, helped them push out their game, and now they're going to want to make it an exclusive IP for that platform, which would only be on Xbox or PC and then Game Pass. And I just think that if you don't have an Xbox, you're missing out. Or if you don't have a PC that can play these games, you're missing out. You talk about Obsidian, who's working on multiple games. In Exile is working on the game. I heard In Exile is working on a steampunk game, which I think would be phenomenal. I would love that if they were working on a steampunk game. But you look at what they've done with Wasteland 3, I thought was a great game. I said this last week. I can't wait to play the DLC for that. So that's exciting as well. And that game barely had any issues. I had no issues with that game. State of Decay, I think the team over at Undead, hopefully, in my opinion, personally, I would like to see State of Decay take the next level and kind of get out of this sort of like mid-tier looking games. I really wanted to kind of step up and go into the realm of like a AAA type of game where the characters are more defined. And, you know, I wanted to like sort of like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, I wanted to like, I just wanted to be more, I guess I want the quality to be more like bigger, like the budget to be bigger. I don't want it to feel like the first State of Decay. Like the second State of Decay felt like the first State of Decay. I want the State of Decay to feel like what's that game? Like what is it? I think it's called Dying Light, something like that. But I wanted to feel like that. Or even Days Gone. I wanted to feel like Days Gone in a way where it's just a bigger game. You know, I'm hoping that when they release the trailer for the new game, that it looks like that. You know, they just made the right choice in picking up certain studios, I think, that has so much potential and just needed the support and the backing to be as creative as they wanted to and put out some great content. You look at Hellblade, they recently put out a tweet about how they burned leather and scanned the burned leather into the game. And when they did that because they want the texture quality to be as real and authentic as possible. I'm telling you, when this game comes out, it might be the best looking game ever. I mean, ever. I don't know what Ninja Theory is cooking up over there. I know we've seen the little clip. We haven't seen anything else since. But whatever they're cooking up over there is going to be absolutely amazing when it's done. And I think it's going to be really, really good. So this whole notion that quality over quantity, because you're paying more, is just an idiotic statement. And I truly hope that guys don't continue to think because you're paying $70 and $80 for a game that it's suddenly going to be better than something that may be lower. You know what I'm saying? A lower tier game financially. You look at games like, obviously, Psychonauts 2. You look at games like, what is that rabbit game, the Fist game on PlayStation. Those are both highly rated games. And neither one of them are, you know, $70, $60. They're like $29.99, you know, games, mid-tier titles, and yet they're rated so high. So it's not about pricing. It's about the quality of a developer and what they input into the game and what they invest into the game. And I think that what we should really be looking at, these studios, we should be looking at the history of these studios. We should be looking at, you know, what they've been producing lately. And if we can do that, then we can make better judgment. Don't use money to make a judgment on games because you'll be making yourself look like an idiot. Anyway, speaking of updates, so obviously, PlayStation went back and made the right decision to allow their games to be upgraded for $10 going forward. Now, a lot of people still feel some type of way about this, and I get it. I get a lot of people are upset about it, and I know some fans are okay with it. You already paid $500 for a console. If you got a PlayStation 4, you're gonna buy the PlayStation 4 version of the game and then just upgrade for $10. That's the smartest thing you can do. Pretty much, you save yourself, I think, what, $20 or $10 or something like that, by doing it that way. So I think, you know, they went back, and I think Sony heard the voices of the fans, and I think they should continue to do that. I think they should badger PlayStation until PlayStation decides that they're going to just give these upgrades away for free. Now, with that being said, Microsoft came out with quick delivery, and everybody looked at it as a joke. You know, when it first came out, we were talking about how Xbox fans were happy with quick resume and quick delivery. And a lot of people just looked at quick delivery as just some sort of marketing term, and everybody laughed at it. But once you start to look at what Sony has done as in competition wise, you realize that quick delivery is a godsend. That being able to buy one game and play it across multiple generations and multiple devices is phenomenal. It's easy. It's not stress free. You don't have to pay anything extra. You get all the bells and whistles with it. So it's just a really, really great thing. 1 second, guys. So I just think that it's a really smart thing on Microsoft's part, and they did an excellent job in putting that together. They had the foresight to see the issues and complications of being able to play a game on multiple devices. And it's funny because it's like when you talk about these things, they seem so minuscule. Like when you first think about it, you're like, okay, buy one game, play it on any platform, and you're good to go, right? So it doesn't seem like it's a big deal until you get to Sony's convoluted issue. They come out, they say that they're going to give every update for free on the PS4 games. Then, or at least the launch PS4 games is what they say. But then obviously they turn around and go back and decide that they're going to charge you a $10 fee. And then in the Horizons case, they didn't even charge you the $10 fee. It was either buy the PS4 version, buy the PS5 version, or buy both versions for $80. It was like crazy. So with Microsoft coming out with quick delivery, it makes the competition or the fans who have a PlayStation and don't have an Xbox question the motives of PlayStation. It questions the motives of Sony. And it's crazy because what you wind up seeing is I'm starting to see a lot of people say, yo, I'm about to cop an Xbox. You might not think that $10 is a big deal financially. It really isn't, but it's the what's the word I'm looking for? It's like, you know, I can't think right now. I'm getting a brain fart, but it's like, I guess it's the integrity of the situation. I want to say that's not what I want to say, but it's like, PlayStation could easily just do all the stuff for free, but they decided not to. And I don't know if it's because they have new people, because they have this new guy. People call him Jim Lion Ryan. And they have Brian Hurlist or whatever his name is in charge, and the Japanese guy stepped down. But since they've been in charge, man, I just feel like these are money guys. They remind me a lot of Don Matrick. Don Matrick was a money guy. He didn't really care about the games, but he cared about making Xbox money. So he did a lot of things like 30-day DLCs and locking up timed DLCs and timed exclusives and stuff like that. If you look at what Sony's doing, they're doing the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing. They're just locking up a lot of, timed exclusives, holding it for a year, renewing it, getting DLC first and all that stuff. And those things aren't coming to Xbox for a year or more. And it sucks. It really sucks. I don't really like timed exclusives like that. Or if it is a time exclusive, I would rather it be a short 33 month, 30-day, 3-month, or even a 6-month exclusive. But a year, 2 years is insane. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I have no problem with Microsoft and their acquisitions. I have no problem with Elder Scrolls 6 being exclusive. I have no problem with Starfield being exclusive and any future titles coming out of the Bethesda branch being exclusive, because you got to play the game. You can't sit by the wayside and let this company dominate you and make you a pushover and have people decide that they're going to go with this platform because they're getting these things exclusively. You got to play to your fan base. And I think they've done a great job doing that. So, quick delivery being a game changer, you wouldn't think it was, but it seems to be just that. It seems that Microsoft's policies this generation and Microsoft's direction this generation is really having a profound effect on the generation overall. And you're starting to see people buy the Xbox One S, people buy Xbox One X's. I see it pop up on my timeline almost every day. I got a new X. I got a new X. I'm seeing PlayStation fans. I got an Xbox Series S. I'm gonna check out Game Pass. I'm seeing fanboys saying they like Game Pass now. You're starting to see all these different things that's changing the landscape. Will Xbox surpass PlayStation as a console overall? Probably not. And I don't think it will, be honest with you, 100%. I don't think it will because just globally, PlayStation is just a better, well-known, respected brand than Xbox. And that's just because I think a lot of people don't like Microsoft, and PlayStation is also in a lot of places Xbox isn't. So I have to respect that. But in America, in the US, I think Microsoft has the opportunity to stay close to them. And I think if they can stay close to them in the Western, Western continents and countries, I think they have an opportunity to compete a lot better. And of course, you also have the subscriptions of Game Pass, which is really moving forward the kind of way to look at the success of Xbox. You know what I'm saying? Because it's all about engagement. It's all about people playing the game. You can have somebody buy your console and your console could just be sitting there not being played, not making no money on that platform. But at least with Microsoft, they kind of understand who's engaged in their platform, who's playing what on their platform. So it gives them a really good opportunity to see, what they're doing overall as a company. And they've been successful. They've been very successful this generation. And they've been very successful financially so far. And that's really good. I'm not going to lie. That's really good. And that's great for them. So quick delivery, man. Game changer. I don't know. That's for you guys to decide. You let me know in the comments. But for sure, it's definitely having a major impact this generation so far. All right. So big rumor coming out. Xbox buying 2K. I don't believe this rumor at all. I'm not going to sit up here and mess around with you guys. I don't see it happening. I don't know why it would happen. I don't know why Microsoft would even attempt to buy 2K. That's like buying EA. That's like trying to buy Ubisoft. That's like trying to buy Square. And be honest with you, I wouldn't want them to. I wouldn't want them to buy 2K. I think 2K does great exclusively. And I don't know why anybody would want to take such a big studio like that from the masses. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure if they did purchase 2K, that the NBA 2K as a game would still be multi-platform. But then what do you get with that? Do you get the Borderlands games? Like, what else do you get with that? I don't even know what 2K makes anymore because I barely play any 2K games. I think they have what do they have? Bully. I think they have Manhunt. I don't know. What is that? No, that's Rockstar, isn't it? I don't know. All I know is that 2K is just an insane thing. And if that was to happen, I would literally make a video immediately and lose my mind on how they were able to pull this off. I'm just like, imagine if Microsoft bought 2K. The world would melt. The industry would melt down, bro. It would be, I'm not gonna lie, I just want to see it just to watch the world burn. Like just to see the glorious meltdown of everybody that Microsoft bought 2K. It would be nuts. But in all honesty, I don't want them to buy 2K. I don't think that's a good look. Honestly, I don't believe that rumor. I don't think that's going to happen, and I hope it doesn't happen. So it's just funny, man. I'd rather them look at another studio or open up a studio. Obviously, we've been hearing that Microsoft has been looking at some stuff with Japan. They're going to be at the Tokyo Game Show. I don't know who they could possibly work with to or convince to join the Microsoft Xbox Studio family. But I know that there were rumors, or there was a time where they might have been able to snatch up the guy who made Ninja Gaiden and Valhalla Studios. I would have loved for them to get Miss Walker, the guys who did Lost Odyssey. There's rumors going around about Sega, but there's always been rumors going around about Sega. I just don't see Sega happening. I don't know. I think Microsoft should do something similar to what they did with their other studio and just make one. Just make a studio and hire some of the best Japanese devs from different studios. Start poaching developers from Square. Start poaching developers from Capcom and Sega and Atlas, and just try to build an amazing team of Japanese developers and had them run this new studio out in Japan. You know what I'm saying? Or even look at some of the other Eastern countries, maybe Korea, maybe China, something like that, and just have an amazing set of developers make some great games. Like that Wukong game where you play basically Goku. I think that game looks absolutely amazing. I think the concept is great. The action looks great. The graphics are amazing. I'm excited to play it. I can't wait to play it. I hope it comes to Xbox Series X. But I just think that looks great. And whoever made that is very talented. And Microsoft needs to try to find developers like that in order to press forward and build talent out there to expand their base, to expand their reach when it comes to Xbox. I think that's really important. If they're able to pull that off, that's a win. That's a huge win for them. That's a bigger win to me than them trying to get a 2K or another major studio. I think Bethesda was a great get, and they have a lot of different entities within them that is going to help Microsoft develop a lot of great games over time, plus their own original studios. But if you're able to snatch one of those studios in the East, that'd be a win. That'd be a huge win for them. All right, let's talk about the PlayStation Showcase. Oh, and big shout out to Tales of Arise. If you're looking for a JRPG, that comes out, I believe, September 10th. Make sure you guys check that out. Go ahead and support Japanese games. I'm a big RPG guy. I love Japanese games, and I'm looking forward to picking up Tales of Arise when that drops September 10th on the Xbox Series X. So if you haven't played it, play the demo. It's dope, man. It's fire. The PS Showcase. Like I said before, I know this is an Xbox show. Some guys might not want to hear about PlayStation, but I always like to talk about PlayStation when it's warranted. I'm not a basher of PlayStation. I like video games. I'm a big video gamer, so it doesn't matter what platform is out there. If they're doing good, I'm going to talk about it. If it's doing bad, I'm going to talk about it. PlayStation Showcase. Rumor. New Infamous game coming. That would be big for them. Personally, I hate Infamous. I'll be honest with you. I am not a fan of Infamous. I played the first one. That game was so repetitive. The story was dope, and the game was cool as a game. But overall, it was super repetitive, bro. It was like, go over here, turn the power on the subway. Go over here, turn the power on at this building. Go over here, turn the power on. Turn the power on. Turn the power on. Turn all the power on. It was annoying, and I just couldn't get into the game. And I mean, I did beat the game, but afterwards, I was like, that was tedious. I don't like tedious games, so I couldn't get into Infamous when the second one came out. And graphically, though it looked impressive, I just didn't really get into it. So, but hats off to anybody who loves Infamous. If you love Infamous, that's great for you. I think that Infamous will be a good game. I don't know if Sucker Punch is making it. My understanding, it may be made by somebody else. So maybe a fresh take on it will revitalize the game. But as of right now, big rumor that there's a new Infamous game going to be shown at the PlayStation Showcase. Another rumor is that they will be announcing Blue Point Games at this showcase event. I don't know how true that is. If that does happen, I think that's to be expected. Same thing like with House Marquee. I think that's to be expected. I just feel like those studios work amazingly well with PlayStation and the Sony brand, and they've been doing it for such a long time that it just makes sense for them to sign them. Whether it's a big deal or not, I don't think it's a big deal. I don't think that is something that we should be like, oh my God, they did such a big, like the Bethesda thing. It's not that big, but it's solid. I think that helps them go forward. And I think Blue Point needs to start making their own games and stop remastering and remaking other games. However, there's a major rumor that with this acquisition, if true, if Blue Point is purchased, that they could be doing a remake of Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. And if they make that game, I'm buying a PlayStation. I'm just keeping it 100. I don't care what nobody say. I don't care if people don't like me. I don't care if people want to thumbs down me. Bro, Legacy of Kain is the ish. If you've never played Legacy of Kain, you got to play this game. Such a good game, such a great franchise. Oh, man, I remember playing it back in the day on my PC when I was in college. That's how old this game is. It was like 2001. And I remember that cutscene where Kain walks up behind Raziel for the first time, and Raziel had his wings, before Kane, and they were brand new, like brand spanking new. They was like wet, and Kane just walked behind him, looked at his wings, touched them, and just ripped them off, bro. Savage. They took him and threw him in water. And the thing is, in Legacy of Kain, water is like acid to a vampire, and he just threw him in there, bro. And he just died. It was insane. It was crazy. 1 second, guys. So I just felt like it was amazing. That game. If they're making a remaster of this game, bro, yeah, I'm gonna have to go ahead and get a PS5 for that, because Legacy of Kain is an amazing franchise. Now, again, this is a rumor, a big rumor. Obviously, I don't think it's real. We won't know until the showcase on Thursday. But listen, if this happens, I think this is a big deal. I think it's a big deal, and I think it's a W for PlayStation. I don't know. That's just my personal opinion on it. So we'll see how it all works out in the end. But listen, PlayStation may have some stuff coming up, man. It's about time they show something. I think a lot of people are expecting a lot of big things coming out of the showcase. I would hate for them to be disappointed if they don't show anything but a bunch of indie and VR games, which is what they've been doing recently. We've seen gameplay on Horizon. I think it's time to see gameplay of God of War, Gran Turismo. If they have Legacy of Kain, they should show that as well. I don't know what Bluepoint is working on. This other game that what's this game? The other game that people keep talking about with the studio that keeps putting out crap on an app. I don't know what that game is either, but whatever they're gonna show, Abandoned. Yeah, I think that's what's called, Abandoned. I think whatever they show, they should definitely show something finally to their fans, because a lot of fans are clamoring to see something. If they did come out with a Metal Gear Solid remake or reboot, I think that'd be fire too. I think that'd be a huge W for them. I think that would draw a lot of people to PlayStation. I'm a big Metal Gear fan myself, especially the first game, and Metal Gear 2, but especially the first game. The first Metal Gear on PlayStation was excellent. Absolutely amazing. One of the best games I ever played all time, top 5. So if they were able to remake that, that would be dope. If they don't show anything, then sorry. What can you do? Nothing you can do about it. But we'll see what happens coming up on Thursday. It's right around the corner, and PlayStation guys should be excited. So, we'll see what happens. But definitely be excited, man. It's about time Sony finally stepped up and showed something. I hope Microsoft does something before the end of the year, some type of XO event or some type of showcase besides Tokyo Game Show. I think that'd be dope. I'm excited. I'm looking at Forza Horizon 5, and I just keep imagining walking around Mexico, but it's Fable. That's all I keep thinking about. I want to play Fable so bad. I want to see Fable. So I'm looking at these environments and Forza Horizon like, man, I could be walking past that cactus with a sword right now. It'd be pretty dope. All right, so jumping to Game Pass. Listen, a lot of people give Game Pass a lot of slack for supposedly having a bunch of indie games on there. I don't think people truly understand the quality of content that's on Game Pass, honestly. And I want to run down a few games that's on Game Pass that I think a lot of people either ignore that's on there, or either have played it and just don't recognize it. And that's the thing. Like, if you're a PlayStation guy and you've never had an Xbox or played any Xbox games, Game Pass is the perfect situation for you, because all the quality content is on there. All the best games that Microsoft has to offer is on there. And there's some really great third-party games on there as well if you haven't played them. So, look, you got Red Dead 2. You got Dishonored 2. The Ascent, which is a really good indie title. Even though it was rated poorly, it's a really good indie game. Please don't underestimate The Ascent. You got The Evil Within 2. You got Psychonauts 2. You have Hades. You have Sunset Overdrive. You have Ori Will of the Wisp. You got Prey, Control, Hellblade. And obviously, Hellblade just got a free update for Xbox, which is pretty dope. 60 frames per second. I think new textures, 4K as well, so it's pretty good. Halo, Master Chief Collection, which is, probably one of the best bundled games you could possibly get. It took years to fix, but they were able to finally do it. Sea of Thieves, which I think is one of the most underrated, underestimated games of the last generation. I look at every generation Microsoft did something and they produced a game that defined the generation for them. With the Xbox, you had Halo. With the Xbox 360, you had Gears of War. And that for a very long time, I was trying to find that game for the Xbox One. And be honest with you, it's Sea of Thieves. That's the game. That is the game that is thriving from the Xbox One generation. That's the game that continues to get support. That's the game that's getting big DLC. That is the game that people enjoy across the board, whether it's on Xbox or PC. That is the game to define the Xbox One. It's a Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves has been a huge franchise for them. And there's a ton of content on there, and people love the game. They love to play the game. And there's not a lot of pirate games out there. So being able to see such a game be the definition, or what's the word I'm looking for? Be the poster board for any other pirate game to compete with. Sea of Thieves is that title, and that's pretty good. You look at Ubisoft trying to come out with Skull and Bones. That got delayed. I think it got canceled. You got Atlas, which is the MMO. Who knows what that game is doing? But Sea of Thieves right now is the defined pirate game, and that's pretty cool. And then, of course, Forza Horizon 4, which is one of the best racing games of the last generation, if not the highly game of the year, for racing or sports titles, was Forza Horizon 4. So there's a lot of games on there. I didn't even talk about a lot of third-party content like Outriders or Monster Hunter. Obviously you have other franchises like Doom. A lot of Bethesda titles is on there as well. You got some really good indie content on there. So there's just a lot of content in there. Now, I may not have as many games as PlayStation, because PlayStation is able to use some of their games from past generations like PS2 and PS1, which had very huge libraries. But all the games on Xbox Game Pass is downloadable. Then you also have cloud as well to use with it. So I just think that people need to really do a better job of looking at what Game Pass offers, because Microsoft has done a really good job curating some really good titles on that platform, within that platform. And I think it's really good. I think it's really great. And I think that people need to stop trying to crap on Game Pass as if you can't purchase titles, as if getting Game Pass is a negative, as if Game Pass isn't beneficial. It's always beneficial. Whether you pay for 1 month, whether you pay for the entire year, is beneficial. You buy a game, you get a discount. You buy DLC, you get a discount. You get to play the games for free if you want to. Well, not for free. Obviously, you're paying into the subscription, but you get to play the games first day on the platform, at least from first party. And you get to enjoy those games without having to kick out $60, $70, $80. And if you want to kick out $60, $70, $80, you still can. I think that's the thing that people miss. The thing that bothers me is when people are like, oh, it's a rental service. I like to own my games. Who said you can't own your games because of Game Pass? Who said that? Nobody said you could not own your games because of Game Pass. You can own your games, bro. Nothing has changed. It's an option. You don't like options? PlayStation don't like options. like if you had the option, you would do it. So what is the problem? You know what I'm saying? Subscribe to the platform. Get the chance to play games you've never played before. I would have never played the Ascent, or I would have never played 12 minutes if I had to pay for it. It's not something that I look like I would be into. But because it's there, I gave it a shot. I gave it a chance. I gave it an opportunity because it was available to me and it seemed interesting. And I think that's the great thing about Game Pass. It really opens you up to new experiences and new games. You know, when I played Mutant something Zero, I can't remember what it was. It's an RTS. And and I don't like strategy games at all. But I think it's called I want to say Mutant Hunter Zero, but it's something like that. But it's on Game Pass. And when I first played the game, I was like, this game is pretty cool. I wound up playing that game all the way through to the end and beat that game. And from there on, because I played that game, I have now been trying multiple different RTSs. I've never liked RTS games. I do not like RTS games. I've never have. But because of that one game, it made me reconsider looking at possibly playing something else. So I started trying to play XCOM. Went through that. Then I tried to play the Mafia game that recently came out as well, which is the RTS. So it's little things like that that really opens your eyes to what they offer and how it can really make you make different decisions and give you an opportunity to expand your gaming taste instead of sitting there and playing the same third-person action adventure narrative game, same first-person game, same sports title. It allows you to explore and maybe find something you may have an interest in. And I think that's what Game Pass offers. That's its best quality. That's its best quality. It really is. And I really love that Microsoft has offered it and it's going to be successful going forward. And I think people fear that. A lot of people fear the success of Game Pass because they want to continue to have their platform be, I guess, the leader in the way gaming should go. But it's a different generation. And as a generation is changing, Microsoft is in a position to be the leader going forward. It doesn't have to be about sales, but it's just being the leader in a position where you have cloud gaming, you have a subscription model, you offer a physical device, you offer access through multiple devices. Just put yourself in a position that when the future hits and everything is more stable and steady, you will have a strength because you built upon that early in the generation. Whereas you have the other platform trying to figure it out, still riding that wave of brick and mortar retail. And I don't know. It's going to be a crazy couple generations after this one, but I will say that I think Microsoft put themselves in a prime position moving forward. Anyway, so listen, man, that's going to be it for this week's show. I want to thank everybody for coming out. I truly appreciate the support as always. I will definitely be back next week, Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern time. Go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button if you appreciate today's show. Again, I'm working on trying to improve the overall feel of the show, the way things look and stuff like that. Obviously, I'm moving soon into a new place, so I might miss a show or two coming up. But for now, I'm going to be pretty consistent, and I'll be back every week to talk about the latest news and content with Xbox and the games industry. So definitely keep an eye out here. I'm your boy, KO. I'm about to say KO. I'm so used to saying KOR because that was my name for so long. But it's changed now. But I'm your host, OX3 Kal-El. You can catch me on Twitter at Super Podshots. That's at Super Podshots. You can catch me on Twitter, or you can catch me on Xbox at OX3 Kal-El. If you want to play any games, OX3 Kal-El. I'm always on the Xbox. Looking for friends to play with, whether it's Destiny, whether it's going to be Halo, whatever it is. If you guys looking for a buddy or a partner to play with, you can always hit me up. But yeah, man, that's going to be it. Appreciate everybody. Catch me on Twitter, talking crap as always. I'm out of here, and I'm off this Xbox planet. You guys have a great one. Peace.